Thank you for joining me, your hostess, the Oracle of Apollo. It is Wednesday night, wherever you are at, and you are watching Divine Encounters. This show is created with a lot of love to help you understand and maybe see beyond the scope of your own experiences through the eyes of other people, how divinity presents itself in their lives and to what divinity required to be within. So, if you're looking for some inspiration, motivation, or maybe just to peek a little further behind what your perspective is at the moment, make sure you stay tuned. Today's episode, we are going to have Sage Kai here, and he's going to be sharing a lot of beautiful stories with you guys about shamanism, extraterrestrial, and more. So, stay tuned. Thank you guys for being here, and let's get on with the get on.
It's paradise inside of our hearts, and it feels so nice to pray in the dark. Beings of light, see who you are. 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 See who you are.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I am your hostess, the Oracle of Apollo. You're watching another installment of Divine Encounters. Yay! We're coming so close to the end of the season. Season 5 is right around the corner, and it has been such an honor to be of service to you all in this capacity. I want to just take a moment really quickly here and turn the energy just for a moment because today is All Saints Day, and so this is a day where we honor our ancestors. And yesterday we had Samhain, or the Day of the Dead. And with that being said, I'm dedicating this episode to James Wilson, who was a beautiful human being in service to the world, a chaplain here, and a student of mine who has recently passed away. And I just want to send all of my sentiments to his family. He touched not just my hearts, but the hearts of every person that encountered his energy, and a beautiful spirit that will live on through the test of time. And thank you, everybody out there. If this is your first time watching, bienvenue. We're going to be doing a couple of things in this episode. We're going to be sharing a supernatural story time with Sage Kai, who's right here in the green room. We're going to be doing a mindfulness tool that you can take home today in this episode. That way you can go forward and learn how to create balance in your own life. And of course, the collective angel number, in which this angel number is going to be a beautiful message in service to your path. So thank you everybody for being here. Make sure you're liking and subscribing because I am live streaming every single Wednesday night here on the E360 TV Trajectory TV channel and network, and at 6 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday nights with your horoscopes. And every Sunday night, a new winner is chosen to receive a live reading, along with the mindfulness moment and the collective angel number of the day, and of course, all of your horoscopes. Okay, so let's bring our guest for the evening on the episode and give a big divine encounters welcome to Sage Guy. All right, welcome.
Aloha, how are you doing?
I am doing amazing, blessed, sensational. We can keep with the synonyms all day. How are you doing?
So well, so well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you
Per-
well. Thank
Perfect.
you so much for being here. I would just love for you to be able to just introduce yourself and tell the collective a little bit about who you are and what you do, but don't go into any stories, just a little bit about you.
Okay, perfect. A little bit about myself. Born and raised in, believe it or not, Las Vegas, Nevada. Um, I'm the age of 35. I have been on a journey, as I'm sure we all have experienced in our lives, coming from a place in the desert, um, being really forced to sit in such desert conditions, right? Learning ways through basically where no life can actually, much life can flourish, only a few, bushes and trees here and there. So yeah, that taught me a lot. And as I grew up, I got to basically pull back the veil and see a lot about more of myself, and journeyed from many facets of life, from early on in extreme sports to being able to not walk for a while, going deep within the self, and yeah, growing and evolving into the phoenix that I'm still learning so much about.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I'm so excited to have you on here, having been follow a bit of your journey through the Book of Faces, as they call them.
Yes, yes. Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me on.
Wonderful. So, Kai, I like to start off. I don't know why I'm calling you by the second name, but
It
Sage.
works.
It
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
Wonderful. I like to start off the episode with an angel number. So
Perfect.
I'm going to read off the angel number for today. And
Okay.
then what's funny, and it's cosmic funny, not ha ha funny,
Uh-huh.
you know how spirit does. It's usually about this person's story that they're going through
Mhm.
in the moment. And since I don't actually know a story you're sharing, you
Right.
have to enlighten us once the share is complete.
Perfect.
All right, give us 1 second. I'm going to pop you in the green room.
Okay.
And for all of you at home, the angel number is basically a numerical sequence that brings a vibratory frequency with it that also can be translated into a message for your day, a message for your week, or maybe just something that you yourself needed to hear and it hasn't appeared. So to that I say, what's good? Okay, so today's angel number is 769. Angel number 769 is a compilation of the vibrations and influences of the number 7 and the number 6, and the attributes of the number 9. Number 7 relates to understanding the self and others, mysticism and esoteric, spiritual awakening and development, empathic and psychic abilities, introspection and inner knowing, study, education, and learning. Number 6 is the number of love, of home and family and domesticity, service to others and selflessness, grace, responsibility, and reliability, providing for the self and others. Number 6 also relates to personal willpower, independence, overcoming obstacles, problem solving, and solution finding. And number 9 resonates with the universal spiritual laws, sensitivity to a higher perspective and expansive viewpoint, leading life as a positive example for others, nonconformity, benevolence, altruism, philanthropy, and light working. Number 9 also denotes endings and conclusions. Angel 769 encourages you to continue listening to your intuition and the guidance from the angels. You've been living and leading your spiritual life with passion, optimism, enthusiasm, and the angels wish to commend you on your commitment. Trust that you are fully aligned with your soul's purpose and life mission, and all of your material needs will be provided along your path. Number 769 brings a message that your thoughts, visions, and intuitive knowing about your life purpose are guiding you in the right direction. You have been following divine guidance and putting your spiritual knowledge and wisdom into practice. Well done. Use your unique and individual skills in the service of others, which requires that you do what your soul is drawn to. Okay, this is what has come to the forefront for the collective today and yourself. How are you feeling about it, and what are you taking away?
Wow, thank you for sharing that, by the way. And yeah, I'm feeling that this resonates deeply with my life. Um, Definitely taking away from this, just signs from the angels coming through always and realigning my memory and my purpose.
And it jumps right into that first thing that you said about being in the desert. That's what I caught. That's what I caught from it. That your material needs will be met. Like the way the landscape is barren,
Yep.
and at times life can seem like it's barren,
Yeah.
but it's just a misplaced sight. I feel.
Mm, mm. Yes, I agree big time. One kind of analogy that I picked up from that was, being in this beautiful place, such as the desert, but growing up in it, I didn't really see its true beauty for a while. And
Mm.
it wasn't until I moved to Oregon in 2014, and when I came back to Vegas, I noticed how the rain wipes everything clean that had carried this dust, and the true color started being revealed. And I had this big epiphany, that's kind of like how I have been in my life, just kind of had this dust on me until I started polishing that mirror, like what Ram Dass says, and Maharaji and them. So, yeah, the beauty starts to shine and the light starts to come out and the colors and all the beauty of life.
It's true. It's so true. And I love Ram Dass. I was actually thinking about him yesterday, and I was like, I'm gonna be jumping into some more of that in the very near
Yeah.
future. So
Yes.
if that wasn't a little
Uh-huh.
nudge,
Big time. Big
little
time.
nudge, that's all. Spirit be do they know what they do. Hello,
Exactly.
Grace. Thanks for being here. And Paul, who's also here. So Sage, you're bringing in a story.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you like to share? And I saw that you have so many things that you can share about.
Yeah.
So I guess before you share this story,
Uh-huh.
why did you choose this story?
Actually, I haven't chose really anything. That's the kind of big story too, is that I'm just getting out of the way and allowing spirit to guide me exactly what is coming up in this moment. And there's
I
so
love it.
much now coming up. So
So
yeah,
where in your heart space in this moment, what is
yeah,
the first thing that wants to come up in which you feel the collective or somebody out there needs to hear from your legacy that you're creating?
big time. Yeah, thank you for asking that beautiful question. And it actually spawned on today something that has came into my field that is asking me to bring this work forward is what we call alchemy or transmutation. And our life's process is this process of alchemy, especially into the spiritual awakening. There's 7-step process of spiritual alchemy. And just what's coming alive for me right now is this beautiful story that I was called forth to the Andes Mountains recently in my life after deep heartbreak and everything shifting in my life. And of course, like a dark night of the soul, right? And after that, the butterfly is born. And so what happened was, as I got called forward to this beautiful Andes Mountains, I became initiated by a 97-year-old woman, and she was struck by lightning twice, which makes her the Alta Messiah of the Andes Mountains, which is the high priestess of the Andes Mountains. And I didn't really know what I was getting initiated into. I just saw her eyes. And I was like, okay, here, let's go. I'm signing up. Let's go. And then a week before, I was like, what am I getting, initiate into. I started talking to her daughter, and she said, "Well, we really don't have names for it in English, but in Quechua is the language." They said it's Pampa Masayak, which is a priest of Pachamama. If they were to come up with a name, and I'm like, "Wow, me a priest? Okay, kind of Heyoka energy and play around a lot." And they go, "Well, it's not really the priest that we think. It's this, being who comes to these ancient sites to bring the harmony and forgiveness." And I've just thought, wow, how perfect is that? Because I've been already doing that for some time. And so now learning the ancient tradition of these people and carrying that forward. And so one of the teachings in the mystery school teachings was what we call transmuting transmuting Hucha into Sami. And Hucha is known as density, or disharmony is what I like to call it, right? Everything comes from this harmonic level, which we can call God, source, universe, and it spreads this harmony down to us or through us as we are made up of it. And somewhere along the way, we tend to, or energies tend to, create a disharmony of it. And what happens is this disharmony gets trapped in the body, and we call it trauma, right? And so the disharmony is coming to us as trauma is coming to us, or pain, or any of this stuff that is we have experienced in childhood, to remind us of our power and to truly use it. And so we tend to say, nothing happened to you; it all happens for you. And
Sure.
so now we get to take that. When I look at it as is that in order for an alchemist to make gold, he must need lead. And so the lead is the density, right? The lead is the hucha. And so the huchas are here. We take them in and we hold them. And the key is to remember how to hold them, how to alchemize them, how to acknowledge them, right? In the process of alchemy, like I said, there could be 7 steps in spiritual alchemy, but I tend to bring it down to almost 3 steps for myself. And so as I journeyed through Peru and learned all this and started traveling from there, I went to Guatemala, and in Guatemala, I just felt like everybody was already seeing me for who I was and calling me forward for this magical alchemy work. And so I started doing one-on-one work with people, and deep using, medicines of plants and remembrances of ourselves. And that's what I think the plants are here to do, is to remind us of who we are, that we are the medicine, right? And so once we remember that, it's like, oh, thank you. Now I can carry my medicine and help others. It's just sometimes those plants help them and remember as well. And so, yeah, that became a beautiful process of one-on-one space holding, and started journeying deeper into this space of now what's coming up for me in this podcast, and something that's more alive I can share is that I also am a musician and a facilitator of dance, ecstatic dance and other guided dance activations. So what happened was I started being called to these festivals, right? And all over. And so I noticed that one of these most, biggest festivals in the world, spiritual festivals in the world, um, had some of the most darkness and density and hucha as much as it had the light, right? And this is the natural order of where we're at in the universe. But I feel like there's that imbalance going on in this world, where the world tends to, the shadows and the darkness tend to overweigh sometimes, and that's when the light is being called forth. And I think that's why we're here as the light workers, is star seated on Earth to help rebalance the world. It's just Jedi work, right? We're all Jedi's, and we're all just remembering our true power. And so this is a training that's going on, that I believe. And so, yeah, it was beautiful coming to these festivals and seeing all this beautiful light everywhere. Everybody's just glowing in magic. And then seeing it just like, like waves of heaviness and things happening, people getting sick, and including
Yeah.
myself, and things like this. And so I was on like the 5th or 6th one throughout this 6-month span. And, I was being called as a guide in some places to hold down medicine booths and help people, and being a guardian. And so I made it to this one festival. I'm like, okay, what's going on? I see all this misuse of these drugs and these things being taken, and not really much guidance here. It feels like a lot of it's just there's a word that came up for it, like the battlegrounds of Earth all come into one space and kind of like duke it out for a minute, and there's music and there's dance, and there's also, energetic level things happening that people don't see. And so I kind of asked Spirit, I was like, what's going on? Why do I keep coming to these places that I feel like I just don't resonate with anymore, and I just want to go. And I heard a voice say, well, you know why you're here. You know why you're here. You're here to help. You're here to assist, and you're here to bring that light. And so I was like, okay. And then there's something that happened specifically where there was beautiful this music, this DJ came on, it was like so good and uplifting and everybody's happy and dancing. And then within 1 second it was like another DJ came on, just like you know, it was like people were, you know, I'm sure there's ketamine all around and all these things going on. And I'm just like, what is going on? And I was very open and sensitive, so I wanted to leave right away and go to the sacred fire, which I was doing. I was getting my stuff and going, and then I heard the voice again. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? This is all of you. This is all of you. All these people are you. All
Yeah.
these parts are us that have yet to be acknowledged and being seen within ourselves. And it's funny because my past, I have a lot of that drug use, right? And abusing drugs at a young and early age. And so I got to see parts of myself that I kind of stored away since it's been 15 years since then or so. And so I was like, wow, I get to acknowledge them and see them and hear the music, and let's take this music in. Let's hear it. Let's just hear it. And so what I did was I started moving with the music, starting to allow it to come in. And you know, this cauldron appeared in front of me, and it was like the darkness and the light in this cauldron, and angels and demons, you know, split in half, and everybody was dancing. And I ask, I'm like, "Oh, what's this?" And they go, "Well, this is Earth. You know, this is the plane we're on right now, and in this dimensional field that whoever resonates in, right? And this is the work." And so it was beautiful to see that and go, "Okay, well, what do I do with it?" And then I heard, you know, Spirit say, "Dance, dance with it." And so I just started dancing and moving the
Oof.
energies and working with it and feeling and allowing and accepting. And you know, out came the cauldron. You know, what can appear as the devil, and then the next thing was God and the angels. It was just like everything started coming out and being seen. And so I just danced through it. I just kept dancing, 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 and it must have been, you know, an hour and a half process of this. Beautiful dance magic is what you can call it, I guess. And I left my body, and I see below me the big crowd. It was about like 6,000 people at this main stage. And I made sure I went right to the front and center just to receive everything in this balanced place, you know. And I saw the crowd. So I drew this white line around the crowd, and I came into my body. And when I came back into my body, I said, you know, it's time for the warriors of light to wake up. And I brought this light from the ground up, and you could see it start moving through everybody's, you know, feet and knees to hips, and this floor of light just raised up. And you know, before this, mind you, it was very aggressive. There was like almost fights breaking off. There was, you know, people just you know, and it's just, yeah, a lot. And so, you know, this light starts to come up, and I turn around and everybody's hugging. You know, this guy who wanted to fight, he was just had his hands in prayer mode, and he was
Oh my gosh.
down, and you can just feel the presence. And so yeah, I just, you know, look up, and I'm like, here I am in this beautiful surrender of life. And that's what it comes down to, is like, you know, here's my throat if you want to slit it. And but also here's the chakana, right, which is on my throat. This is the Indian cross, which is the teachings of the great Andes cosmology. And so, yeah, it was just like the light was just shining and everything's going, and we're here. And then ever since then, there was like 2 days left of the festival. Everybody talked about how much better the festival felt. They were like, wow, the energy is so light. Did you guys notice that one night was really dark? And then ever since then, it's just been great, and everybody had a great time. So I feel that there's a deep calling full of star seeds and angels and guides here on this earth to do their part. And I talked to this other girl, you know, who was at the festival after that. And she goes, I was doing something similar as you. And I was at the other side, at this other stage, and something else was crazy going on. And it's the same night, same thing. And yet she did her own dance alchemy or whatever, you know, you want to call it. And so, yeah, it's really beautiful to see. That's why we're being called to wherever we're at, and we're right on time, and we're right where we need to be.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And that speaks also to me personally because I just shared a few episodes back on my near death experience in the ocean. And what came through from that experience was the need to make music. I also do festivals. And
Beautiful.
this is kind of something that has started in the last year or so.
Mhm.
And Spirit's like, okay, make music. And I'm like, okay, I get it, but I don't get it. What am I supposed to do with this music
Right.
that you're now asking me to have my MIDI board launch pad next to me, and I'm teaching myself because I have no clue. And but you sharing this story, it was just like, I got it. It
Mm.
was like it was a
Mm.
really I got it moment.
Mhm.
And now I understand the power of the purpose behind it. I
Mm.
understand that it's medicinal music. But
Mm.
when we talk about medicinal music, sometimes people don't understand the full gravity
Mm.
of what that means. And it's just like this story that you're sharing. There was a gathering where there was a collective energy, and the energy was dense, so it was doing harm. Someone like a light person like yourself who is sensitive,
Mm.
who also works with music, understood about that frequency within themselves, and then was able to channel it in a way that it reflected in the collective energy. So, you see some Hindu gods who are breakers of moments, so to speak, in their dance, um, like Kali, right? So, and we see this dance, and it's kind of like, okay, but what does these symbols actually mean?
Mm.
But coming the simplification of it, the beautiful simplification of it coming out of your mouth, it's alchemy. It's more than just movement. It's more than just rhythm. And rhythm doesn't even really isn't relevant. It's all the intention and ability to be so present with the earth, with your breath, with
Mm.
yourself,
Mhm.
and the space within space.
Yep.
What was the catalyst for you to welcome space within space?
Mm. Mm. Wow. Wow. I can, yeah, feel like the almost emotions coming up right now as you ask that question, because it's like something I was going to go into as you speak already. There's so many catalyzing points in my life, right? That I can, but one comes up just for this, and it was right before I was in Guatemala before I came back to the States. These certain festivals. Um, I was in a deep plant medicine journey with grandfather medicine, which is San Pedro cactus, and this cactus is a big heart opening energy, and so as I stepped into this realm, I'm carrying this medicine with me in my heart, and the medicine goes, "You've been doing well, but now it's time to go to all the worlds." Which in the Chicana, right? There's the Uku Pacha, which is the underworld; Kai Pacha, which is this world; and then Hana Pacha, which is the upper world. And so they break it down into three worlds. And so I had to go down into what we call the jungle or the underworld, and go into that realm, and then go into the Kai Pacha, and then weave them together. And so this catalyst, the space within space, what I look at that as is like I was in this ceremony and I was sitting with it, and spirit, grandfather, whatever you want to say, comes to me and says, "Look, we're going to take everything that you've ever separated from God, from source, um, and we're going to show it to you." And I said, "Okay." And it was a big process. It was like a 6 to 8 hour process. And the first thing was just very subtle. It wasn't too crazy. It was just arguments. It was like, oh, arguing. Okay, why do I argue with people? Why have I argued, or why do they argue with me? Right? And there's always a silver lining within everything. And I got to see that argument just wants to be heard. That the deep dang, I want to be heard. If I'm arguing, what's here? It's just I want to be heard. I want to be seen. I want to be loved, because maybe a part of me never felt that, or hasn't felt that as much. And so I got to acknowledge argument and say, "Thank you, argument, for actually just showing me I want to be heard. I want to be loved and seen. Now I know how to communicate nonviolently and speak in a way where I don't have to argue. So I now, return you back to source where you come from." And it just leaves my body and it goes back. And it's just like, like a more of a happy feeling. And I'm like, whoa. And so I went down the line. I went down the line of that. And each time it would leave my body and I'd reach more states of bliss, deeper bliss. And like you said, you have to kind of really experience this within yourself first. And before you can go do these dance alchemies or anything, it's like this deep within presence. And the last one was the physicality, or the what we call stereotype of a devil, right? Just horns, little red guy. And I had to thank the devil. And I was like, it was very hard for me because I've been such this right warrior archetype for a long time, fighting against this system and this, and what I've been conditioned to try to receive, which I couldn't. I've resisted most of my life. And so I got to say, okay, well, I can thank the devil or something. And I remember one of the most hardest times in one of my awakenings, um, that wasn't a part of a Black Night of the Soul or Dark Night of the Soul or any of that. It was just this random day I woke up and there was children all around just crying and with blood coming down their face, saying, why are you guys bombing us? And this is still relevant to this day. And this was during the bombing of Libya when the children's hospital got hit, and I think these children came to see me. I'm like, "What's going on?" I wake up and there's all these children in my room. I'm like, "Oh my god, am I going crazy?" Right? It's happened, and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't do anything, or I'm so sorry." And I go to my car and I go to the closest mountain in where I'm from, and I put my hands in the dirt, crying, and I just give it back, and just their grandma and grandpa come and they say, "Come take it, give it to us," and so I just give it all to them. And so I remembered that moment. And then I used to think like, oh, who would do something so sinister? Only the devil could, bomb children's hospitals and hurt, innocent people like that. And so I had to thank the devil because the devil showed me my capacity of love. How could I love these children in Syria, Libya, or far as the other side of the planet? I've never even been there. Right. And so in order for me to understand my capacity of love, the devil had to show that to me in this space that I was in. That was my process. And so I didn't know that until well over, a decade later. I got to say, thank you, devil, for showing me that I can love people on the other side of the world, that I can support all of this with my heart and my love. This is so big and so broad, more than I ever thought. Thank you. I love you. And this is the difference between all the other things. For that whole time in the devil goes into my body and I can feel his hands in my hands and his eyes behind my eyes. And he goes, oh, you love me. Now we can work together. Right. And I go, I love you. And I only let the benevolent beings of the Most High into my body, the angelic realm into my body, the energy that is already organized in its harmony state, the most harmonic state. If you are not of this harmonic state, I now command you to leave the body and go back to where you came. And so it was this warrior that came in when it said it wasn't so gentle and soft like that, right? It was like a fierce, yeah. And so it came out of my body. I just see him start shaking. He was like, ah, and then poof, this big explosion. And then behind the cloud was this angel playing the harp. And this angel had the brightest halo I've ever seen. And he says, wow, oh, I've been waiting for that. Thank you. And he goes back to heaven. And so we must remember, and that's what the Ketva people say, is that everything is of God. Even the devil is still this angelic, right? He was an angel once. And so everything has an angel within it. Everything has this angelic thing within it. And the reason why it doesn't appear to be is because it's became so distorted in our belief. And the more we resist it or, persist. And so the more we get to acknowledge the light within, we feed that light within. There's nothing that can, darken that light. And so that was one of the most beautiful feelings. And this is also a deep lesson in what? Discernment, right? It's just so beautiful to have our gifts and what we're doing here on the planet as light workers, bridge builders, timekeepers, gatekeepers, whatever it is. But to discern your energy and say, no, I claim myself as with the Most High, right? Aloha Keakua. And we're all in this breath and life of God. And to remember our power like that, it's infinite.
Wow. I have no words right now. I really don't have any words. And I think it's so beautiful how while you were doing your own work, the children had came to you. And in that moment, you were able to then not just suffer. I feel like sometimes empaths kind of get stuck in that little spiral of suffer. And it's like, okay, I have it and I don't know what to do with it. But you did know what to do with it. Um, if people aren't connected to in the way you are connected, which is to the earth and the grandparents, some of us live in concrete jungles.
Sure.
How could someone mirror that intention of, okay, wait, maybe I'm feeling Giza right now and I live in the middle of the city. What do I do with this energy for those who are not as adept as yourself? Because
Okay.
it's happening now.
Yeah, it is big time. And I think it's a beautiful practice that we have lost along our ways. And so I've mentioned it a little bit when I went to my closest mountain. And so in Peru, we call the mountains apus, and apus are these spirit birds. And each mountain, wherever there's a mountain, there's a spirit bird that lives within there. And as big as the mountain is much energy condensed in like a 2-foot beam. And so if you look at the mountains like Mauna Kea and the Big Island or Haleakala and Maui, these big mountains are huge, but we condense those into like a 2-foot bird. And that's the power that's living within the spirit bird. It's quantum. It's so beautiful and amazing. And so when we go to places like Peru and we do what we call despacho ceremonies, they help us connect with our mountains from back where we're from. And so this mountain where I'm from is called Red Rock. And when I went to Red Rock and I just put my hands in there and I cried, and I don't know why, I just dug my hands into the earth. I just felt this was what I needed. It was so just thick in my hands feeling. And so I put them in the earth and I'm crying and I'm crying and I could just feel all like take a vision of like all the darkness just kind of leaving your fingertips, going through your body and just leaving. And it's this process of alchemy, right? When we give our purge or our body back to this earth, it will decompose and go into nutrients for plants. And so the earth is a living being that is meant to take this energy. And that's my belief, at least that's what I thought in 2011. Then I go to Peru and they teach you these in the mystery school. This is one of the ways to alchemize hucha into samity, this density. So if someone's feeling something that's going on now, right, what's going on in Israel and this heavy stuff that's going on, if they're not doing these practices and they're empathic, and they could feel like very heavy and hard to deal with life, which all of it's meant to be. There's no wrong way. It's that there are tools that we can use to help support this planet from back into Sami, which Sami is harmony. And so for me, one of the tools is also having an altar. And when I have an altar, I get to be able to move that energy to that altar always. And I have wild altar stories. I can share another time or something. But yeah, there's that way, giving it to the altar, giving it back. And so what I kind of created was a process called giving it back to God. And what I mean by that is that there's that density that we can give back to God since it came from God. We acknowledge it, we see it, we love it, we see why it's happening. And now there's a thing that's also happening that we're seeing, that which we call the perpetuation cycle, right? There's this perpetuated cycle of hate or suffering that is, like, I believe, unnecessary. Although it's here to still be for people's healing and growth, I'm going to choose a path where I can notice and be in tune with what is perpetuating and what is just here to come back. And so, yeah, I feel that don't feeding the perpetuated cycles, not feeding that, and also doing the work. If you're feeling heavy, that means that's for you. Then there's nothing here. But if you're not feeling heavy anymore and this is still just going on like a program, you know that it's actually not, it's not even meant for you. It's not meant for you until your energy gets pulled to it and you get called in that energetic level where you feel it as a density. It's like, okay, this is for me. This is parts of myself that is still vibrating in that frequency that is calling for its attention, its acknowledgement.
Beautiful. Thank you. So we're going to go into our mindfulness moment now. And then if we have time after, I would love to hear a altar story, because that's what I'm here for. I live for this stuff. All right. So for you guys at home who don't know what a mindfulness moment is basically when we just take 60 seconds here on Divine Encounters and we're just going to breathe into the body. So set an intention now, and you're going to hear little music, set an intention, and then go ahead and just do a self check-in from 1 to 10. Where are you at energetic moment, and is there a feeling word to it? 1, this is the least amount of energy I can hold. 10, this is the most amount of energy I can hold. And then pop that in the comment section below. And if you're watching this on the replay, hashtag seeker. Okay, what is your number and your feeling word?
I pick a number that came to me, or is it more?
To 10. 1 is the least amount of energy, 10 the most amount of energy.
In this moment, I'm feeling a good 7.
Do you have a feeling word to describe your moment?
That's a good one. Let's think. I would say presence.
That's funny. That's my word and my feeling. I swear to God, I'm not making it up.
Yeah.
Like, and I feel present. That was awesome. Okay, so we're gonna jump in. You're gonna hear a little ding, 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 and then our eyes are all closing. And I will put 60 seconds on the clock, and I promise you, I won't forget you guys at home to let you know to open your eyes again. In the meanwhile, just relax. Let's jump in. Okay, everyone's eyes are closing now. We're putting 60 seconds on that clock. Big breath in here, deep down into the lowest part of the abdomen. And just invite yourself to notice what you are feeling in this moment. Is it tension? Do you have an distracted? Is there worry? And as you're letting go of that breath, just go ahead and send it off back to the universe to be recycled, upgraded, and transmuted. And that next breath in, it goes even further in, deep into the core of your being. And with it, it is taking all that serves you and sends it right back out into the vastness of the universe that goes to be transmuted, upgraded, and recycled. And on your next breath in, a moment of gratitude for taking this time to be here with yourself and to create this beautiful synergy. Letting that go. Invitation to come back to self now. You can wiggle your fingers or your toes and eyes opening. And then when you are feeling present back within yourself, drop in that comment section below your number now, 1 to 10, and your new feeling word. And the purpose we do this is to show you that wherever you are at in the world, you probably have at least 60 minutes to breathe and go ahead and reins back of your day to elevate your own world. Okay, Sage, how are you feeling? What's your new feeling word? Did anything come up for you? And what's your number?
I would say my intention that I set also was presence, even though I was feeling presence. So now it's a deeper state of presence. I feel more around the 8.5 on the spectrum, and I can even hear the cars and things that I have yet to really tune into. So the presence is expanding.
That's funny because right now a car alarm just went off my window. And as you were saying that, it caught me. And I was like, okay, that's fine. It's going off. We're present. So that's funny. That's really
Yes,
funny.
yeah.
So I am at the same number, but what caught my attention was to have to work on a space between my scapula and my heart. And it's connected to the meridian that leads me to here. So I know I have some homework to do.
Ooh, that's interesting because that's I have some crazy stories on that back there, right between the heart and the scapula. And what you pointed right here was this beautiful line of the lung meridian, which kind of comes up like this right here in lungs. And so I serve combo medicine, which is frog medicine from Amazon, and I serve myself right here a lot because, the only thing in my body that ever had any trouble mostly was respiratory issues. So.
Wow, mirroring today. That's beautiful. So you have an altar story, or do you want to share about your scapula heart?
I mean, it depends how deep we want to go. There's some deep stories here that like basically movie style stuff, and so
Well, we have 10 minutes, so
okay, we have 10
it
minutes.
would have to be the
The short, short version. Yeah, let's go ahead and go with the altar story.
Okay.
It was interesting. It was actually I'm here visiting my family now here in Oregon, and my grandfather passed away. This was years ago, but I'm here now, which is interesting. I'm telling this story. This was probably around 2013 or 14 or something like this, and I fell down kind of like I had an altar, and I kind of like tripped or something, or like I fell to my knees, and I was right in front of the altar. And when I fell, and I was like, "Wow, that was weird." And I went to get up, and I'm like, "Hold on, what's going on?" Yeah, I'm right in front of my, like, it's like it kind of like went right to the altar, like spirit brought me right here, and so I got to feel and tune into a deep meditation and see my grandfather get added to the rest of the ancestors around. I could see his presence and his energy, and my grandfather has wildlife that is very rooted in alcohol and abuse and things like that, and fights a lot. And so he stacked a lot of that karma, you can say, into his life. And so when he passed and he joined my ancestors, all of that went down the line, right? And here I am at the altar, and I could feel all this just darkness. It was very interesting because I was so tuned into this beautiful heart space of the altar, so I didn't really get to be too overwhelmed. It was just this perfect, right? I could feel the floodgates open up, and this like darkness came right into my body, and it went right out of my body, right into the altar. It was just like I was such a channel that wasn't rigid and didn't have any beliefs or thoughts or this is bad or this is good or none of that. I was just at the altar with love. And because I was at the altar with love, it allowed my body to be just this clear channel. So when that came through, it allowed it to just move through the living force, which is me next on the lineage as a man in this lineage, and go right through the altar and go right back to God. And so I was like, whoa. And I felt super charged and clean. I was like, whoa, this is instead of me having to work and do all this relationship or things that he had. And like, it was just like peer right back to the altar. And so, I mean, that blew my mind.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of times we think something's gonna have to take so long. And it doesn't have to. There's moments of like absolute forgiveness in a moment
Bam,
and instantaneous healing in a moment.
bam.
So that's a beautiful testament to that. It made me realize the importance of other people at home knowing the importance of an altar in.
Yes, big time.
If there are people out there who aren't too sure what that means or what that is or how to even get started, what guidance do you have for them?
Mm. I would say find something for me is finding a cloth, um, something that is memorabilia in your life. And I feel like most people do this already by their nightstands or wherever they're at. Just building a little space for yourself and coming to that place with just full surrender and full um, receptivity to whatever might come through. And so, certain cultures have ancestral altars where you can tune in and pray to the ancestors and leave things on the altar for your ancestor. And then there's things like the Merkabah altar, which you come here to charge this sacred geometrical force that's within your heart, as it's your shield and your protection, as well as your energy centers and body. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many ways to go about it, and it's a beautiful process when we do.
And it sounds like there's no wrong way.
There's no wrong right. Yeah, I think intention is the biggest thing. Just come there with that intention and that prayer, and just keep laying prayers. And fire can be your altar. That fire is one of my favorite altars. So
Fire is one of my favorite altars too.
yeah,
That's very beautiful. And if you don't have the privilege of having a space within
yeah,
home, maybe for reasons or cats,
yep.
children,
I mean, the biggest altar is your heart.
yeah,
yeah,
you can make one inside. You can meditate in your garden and make your
yeah,
little altar inside your garden.
yeah.
Since I travel the world, I
Mhm.
put my altar as my background on my phone.
Mm, love that.
This day and age, I can't carry it with me if I'm only walking with a backpack. So, digital altar.
That's it. And you can't carry any of this with you where we're going either. You got to give it all back to the new earth, baby. I'll throw
Yep,
that one
it's
in there.
going. It's just on borrow. Everything is just on borrow,
Yeah.
man. But it's on borrow and it accrues interest, which is the part we
Mm,
forget.
mm, mm,
So,
mm.
Kai, we are at the end of our episode.
Okay.
Any that you feel, ooh, this is not a me question. This is a question. What do you need to tell yourself? And I don't mean you yourself.
Mhm.
I mean then yourself.
Mm,
Right now.
mm,
There's something you need to say for you out loud, but it's to your 17-year-old self is what I'm being told
mhm,
about the journey now. So I'm going
mm.
to leave you with that to think.
Yeah. Well, this is a beautiful question because I've been asking myself this so much. And I'm like, if you can go back in time and tell yourself something, what would you tell them? And, naturally we want to like, oh, what's the biggest life lessons, or what's, the presence mantra, and this thing that you can just stick, because telling them too much and it can work. And so, I mean, I would just smile. I would say, smile, and you're perfect the way you are, because everything in my life up until this point is exactly what I needed for me to be where I am today. And so to try to fast track anything or try to give myself something that was insight that could have helped me, and I'm sure there could have been many things and that could have changed and been just as beautiful, if not more beautiful, but I wouldn't change it. I would not change it. I would not.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, he's already here now. The 17th self is in my body right now, as well as all the other ones. And so my biggest thing now is building a relationship with all of them, to where I am now the guardian, and I am, the king is here, the boy is here, and the castle's big enough for everybody to go play and have fun. And that's the biggest practice. And, another story for another time how that happened. And that's a good one. So
Then we'll have to bring you back because you can't just leave us on a cliffhanger.
I mean, that's kind of life, life kind of leaves us on that cliffhanger sometimes. We just, no, I'm joking.
Only every single day.
That's right. Yeah.
So what is if you watch this episode on replay next year at this time, what would you have accomplished from here to next year this time? This is reminding you it's Halloween time.
Yeah. Talk about, Day of the Dead, what we're talking about. I would say my intention now is to go set out back to Peru, and I'm leading a pilgrimage there this December, and I am working deeper with the medicines of the ancestors and these lineages that I'm speak of. And so I'm going to go deep into this practice of studying deeper with the frog and different things like that. So I feel like a year from now, me coming on here is just going to be like, who is that guy? You know what I mean? It's like that every time I come back, it's just more quantum and just like, whoa, evolution. So yeah, it's really hard to take myself out this present moment, to be honest. It's like, oh, any future questions? Like a year from now, it's gonna be like, whoa.
So far ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's right now, it's there's only right now, but yeah.
Well, if someone wants to work with you and take this journey with you, please let everybody know where they can get a hold of you and just all the.
I'm sorry, you cut out just a little bit there.
Let everyone know where they can reach you if they so want to work with you and the services you offer.
Bless. Yeah, you guys can reach me. My most quickest reply would be on Instagram at Third Eye Warrior with the number 3. So the number 3, RDEYE Warrior. And the services I provide is plant medicine ceremonies and with combo and hikes. We take you on amazing hikes. It was through the islands of Kauai, as well as Peru and Guatemala and Costa Rica. And so, reach out, and I will be in Sedona and Las Vegas shortly. And so I can't wait to connect with you all out there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to finish this show off with my final thoughts of what I learned from you today. So now, muchas gracias. But if you head out, I know you have a plane to catch. And I'm so honored to have had you here. And I'm not even kidding. I was going to wear a hat just like that. It is like literally an arm's reach grasp away from me. This is freaking me out a little bit, honestly, just a little bit. I was like, oh, we got some soul energy happening here today. That's amazing.
Yes.
And okay, so let's close off this episode con mucho amor. Do you or someone you know experience something supernatural that has left a positive impact on yourself or the lives of others? Want to share your story on our show? Please email Divine Encounters at e360tv.com. And together, let's create divine experiences. And now, the Oracle's final thoughts con mucho amor. I could not help myself because I was going to wear it. Okay, so my final thoughts for today's episode. Oh, man, it was such a good episode. Thank you guys all for so much for being here, holding space with us, learning with us, expanding your horizons with us. And I want to say what I took away from this. I kind of feel a little selfish in this. Usually I give you a beautiful, wrapped up, collective message. But man, I got to make some music. We got to this now. Remember, whatever that spirit is giving you, you don't have to know all of the ins and outs. And sometimes You're being given a task that you thought you could never even do. Once upon a time, I could not forward an email, and now I'm in production and TV. What is happening? You don't have to know all the answers. All you have to know is that you're on the way. Now go forward and encounter more, because I dare you. And above all else, may you all go in love, right? To know thyself, love thyself, and remember the divine always has. Ciao. See you Sunday.
Everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels just hold on. Just hold on.